All right, let's see if we can get a signal from the Bat Cave, as is tradition on YouTube. And we are live. Hello and good morning to everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Jedi Academy here on Reality Skewed Gamers. Glad to have you guys here on a Saturday morning, where all we do is answer your questions about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, the mobile game brought to you by Capital Games. I'm your man, Ranger J 1999, still alive and kicking after doing the Hot Chip Challenge and punishing that evildoer, Rambam001. If you guys didn't see it last night, we did a dual stream for you guys. No Heinzie, he's in LA doing his thing, so we didn't have a Heinzie stream last night, and I figured I'd get this one in because other than Monday, I'll have the Monday stream, and then that's it for a week. Till the next Monday, I will not be streaming because I'm going to be heading. Well, first we got 4th of July, then I'm heading to Vegas for like 4 days, and then it's my birthday weekend, so I won't be back till Monday. So I figured I'd get the Jedi Academy, and people are like, "Are you sure you're gonna be able to do the Jedi Academy?" I'm like, yeah. The Hot Chip Challenge. I mean, if you saw the stream last night, I did it, and I just sat there jumping on ice while Rammer was running around with his hair on fire. Uh, but props to Ram. Props to Ram. Why is my thing? There we go. Props to Ram, who did do the Hot Chip Challenge #2. So Ram's got his hot badge. I was very impressed with old Ramus. Bamus, thank you, Mamus. So looks like we got the Willing Kid in here joining us as well. We got Carthrick here.
What's up?
You missed all the fun last night.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Hmm.
I had the stream up, I just wasn't in it.
Yeah. Little Cynthia has her ulcer. I don't think I have an ulcer. It was just something weird. I've never had this happen before when I've done the Hot Chip Challenge. I know it's because I've lost all this weight too. And I'd worked out. I don't know, for like a couple minutes, my abs just completely constricted on me. So I was over there
Ooh.
during the stream. Was like they just tightened up, and I was like, "That's not comfortable," because I went and washed my hands and came back down, and I'm like, "Oh, that doesn't feel right." So I was over there like stretching out, just trying to get it to relax a little bit. So I had to take a couple minutes to stretch, but other than that, I was fine. I mean, the pain is the pain, you know. Um, when you eat something like that, first 20 minutes are just intense pain. Um, then
Yeah,
the
after that
20
it's not
minutes,
so bad.
and then it comes back in waves. So at the next 20 to 25 minutes, you get cycles of different parts burning again. And then, yeah, and then after about an hour, you're good. So, but Ram was just dying last night. It was so good.
Yeah, but that's the best part of the whole thing,
Yeah.
watching Ram die. You gotta appreciate that part of it.
Mm-hmm. But I give him credit. That's #2 that he's done. So, he's got his badge.
I
Um,
mean, it's either a brilliant feat or just a testament to his stupidity.
Well, he's done it. So whatever it is, he's done it. So, so I mean, give the guy
It's
credit.
just
I mean,
going back. Like once is doing it, twice is like I don't know, man.
well, yeah, I was kind of talking to him about the pizza, and we were looking it up because I wanted to see what the Schofield is compared to the hot chip. I didn't know this. We looked it up last night because I was talking about the chocolate. It says, "What's the chocolate Schofield?" I'm like, I have no idea. We looked it up. It's 9 million.
Ugh,
I did two of
gross,
those. I was like, what the
gross.
hell is wrong with me, man? No wonder that shit took an hour to stop. Because me and Grandi both we did back to back. I mean, we did one for an hour during the charity stream, and then we did another
Yeah,
one because people donated for it. I didn't realize it was that hot. Now the chip is about 2 million. So I was looking up the pizza, and it's the same as the chip. It's 2 million. But the thing I was
yeah.
telling Ram is like you don't handle hot food very well, and to pay $50 to eat pizza to get it for free. Because if you don't finish it, you paid $50. The only way you get it for free is if
Yeah.
it's like you ain't gonna make it through that
It's
whole
like
thing, dude.
why do that to yourself?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm
It's like
sorry,
you're paying a lot more for torture versus what the chip costs, like, I don't
14,
know, 10,
14
15.
bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I can say I've done all of them. The ghost pepper, the nut. The only one I haven't done is the gummy, but at this point, after doing the chocolate, I don't think the gummy is going to do anything different to me. But the they're just all bad. I mean, you have to be used to eating hot sauce in the first place. And you really need to take it seriously if you're going to do it. Like I eat hot food all the time. Like this Lola's I got is high Scoville. It's ghost pepper sauce, and I eat that a lot. Just had some this morning too. Had a little dab, not too much, with my eggs. But you got to be very careful with that, guys. Seriously, if you are, you got to be in really good shape. I would say first of all. Second of all, if you have any medical conditions, especially dealing with your stomach or high blood pressure or anything like that, don't do it because it's going to release a shit ton of endorphins. I cannot stress to you, people get dizzy or just it's crazy like what this does to you. At the same time you're in pain, you're high as hell because the pain is so intense that your body tries to compensate for it. And there's really no good solution for it. The only thing I found that you can do is just munch on ice. You're just alleviating that pain temporarily as it passes. So but yes, we did it last night. We had a lot of fun. Not a lot of rage. I mean, Ram streams are getting boring, Karth. They're fucking boring, dude. He just wins. And I'm like,
Well,
I don't
I
want to. This
mean,
is boring, man.
this is what happens when he falls so far, though. It's like you fall far enough in Kyber, you're gonna get to the point where you're not. You're just gonna get those 3-0 streaks. Like
Yeah, we
it,
lost.
and
We lost last night for the. I mean, I've been on a pretty good streak here, but we had just had
did you
bad
win
art.
Wednesdays?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. One Wednesday, and then we lost last night. But it was a close match. Both of us got stuck on Ray. He was just a tad bit more efficient. Um, and so
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm waiting to see. He's attacking right now. I'm waiting to see what he does. But my guess is that I'm if he clears my top wall, I don't have a snowball's chance in hell in winning. So
yeah. It's just one of those things. I just had bad RNG last night. We were using Java versus Ray. I had it, and it was like, God damn it. It was right there. And then we just could not get past her afterwards. It was like, shit. And I did go for a thing. I had Ben down with the troopers, but Ray was yellow right next to the red, and I went for it. Didn't get it. He came back, and then at that point, I'm like, okay,
yeah,
I'm not going to get it. I should have just let
yeah, that was my round one. I lost by a banner. Like literally, I tried a team I shouldn't have. I should have just gone for the one tap with C versus Riva, and I tried to do Fennec Bam, but I forgot to check the Datacron, and he had the 100% bonus damage.
Mm,
And so by the time I took a turn, I lost Bam and Fennec, and then Grief was the one left. I'm like, well, there goes 20 banners. And
yeah.
honestly, if I just started with C, I would have won it. But it was like 1080 to 1081. I'm like, so dumb.
All right. So the way this works, Jedi Caddy, first of all, we're on YouTube, not Twitch. So subs are always appreciated. You haven't sub or follow, whatever it is. It's subs. I think it's sub on the YouTube channel. It's not just that we do Jedi Academy
Yeah,
here, but we also have the lore video. We did one yesterday on Luke Skywalker. It was a really good video. It's out. So after we get done with the Jedi Academy, please go check that out. So you get all that good stuff. Hit the thumbs up because that part of the algorithm for YouTube want watch time and then interaction. So leave comments. You can ask a question or you can leave a comment on the videos that you see. Just simple like I like this or blah blah blah. It does help on any of the videos. If you guys want to support us on YouTube, I know we do mainly on Twitch now, but we are still putting a lot of content out on YouTube. The Wednesday night stream goes up the next day on YouTube. We're doing the Jedi Academy. We also have the lore video going out. So there's still content coming on YouTube. It's just not as much as a priority as Twitch is. But we still do it. Now, the way the Jedi Academy works is, yeah, you can do blah, 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 Ronan's Eye. The way the Jedi Academy works, if you have any questions, and we had a lot of news and stuff this week with Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, put your question in the chat. Make sure you put the word question in front of your actual question, comment, or statement, and we'll give you the best answer or response that we can. Also give you a greeting about the shout out everybody, and welcome everybody in. Schedule wise, we'll do this stream today. Then I'm chilling till Monday. Monday will be a quick stream because I'm just going to do my GAC and hang out with you guys. And then next week, it's going to be crazy. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to be getting my TB, TW, and I'm going to be in Vegas. Luckily, it's at the tail end of TB, so we should be okay. I will not be on for the first time in 7 years on my 7-year anniversary there, Karth. I will not have a Wednesday night stream.
Yeah, for sure.
First one in 7 straight years, but we'll be in Vegas. You know, if anything, I may just do a quick, a howdy doody, so it counts.
Yeah,
Hey,
video stream or something like that,
video
just to have
stream.
it.
Yeah, just to have
just to have it
the
there.
streak going. We got to keep the streak alive. So I may just jump on Twitch real quick. I'm gonna bring my laptop and stuff, so I should
Yeah.
be able to do it. I don't know how good the internet's there, so it's not like my setup here where I have crazy awesome internet. Hotels are not known for their decent internet, so unless you pay a
Right.
fortune.
I think Vegas has a policy of trying to keep you either on the slots or
Yeah.
in the entertainment where you're going to be spending money. They don't want to keep you in your room.
I'm still in the dark about like what's I know I get it Wednesday night, we'll probably have meet and greet there. Thursday day, we're definitely having meet and greet with everybody. I'm gonna get all the skiers together, we'll get some pictures taken, go just hang out and relax Thursday. I don't know what the schedule is for Thursday day, but Thursday at late afternoon, evening, I'll be in the full Beskar costume and we're all gonna be getting dressed up and going out. And I think we're gonna hit the strip and we're gonna go play some golf and some other things. So
Playing golf in that suit would be hilarious.
mini golf, I should say mini golf.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
But the same,
I'm not doing mini golf.
that
I'll walk
armor.
around, but I'm not playing mini golf in that, man.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Then I think we're doing karaoke after that and just hanging out. Which has been a lot of hanging out. Friday, I don't know what the schedule is. I know Heinze that night wants to do he wants to do a tuxedo stream for the Friday night stream, which I'm down for, but I haven't been given any details on that shit yet, so I don't know what we're doing. And then I know that
Sounds like a lot of man planning going on here just by the seam of our pants.
I try to get the women to run everything, but they were not interested, and I don't blame them because it's like hurting children. You know what I'm saying? So,
bunch of wildcats out there.
yeah. Big shout out to I think it's Desi's partner Oric. Recommended a restaurant for me on Friday night, and got me a cool little reservation at Sinatra's. I'm gonna go eat at Sinatra's on Friday
Nice.
at 6:15. That'll be pretty cool. So I haven't had pasta in about 9 months, so it's gonna be my first pasta tasting in a while. I figured if we're gonna do it, we'll go big. And then big shout out to Desi and Oric for recommending that. So yeah. Oh, who else joined us? Oh, it's Calvin.
Oh, it's Calvin.
Awesome.
What's up, friends? How's it going?
Hey, just
Going well, Calvin. Yourself?
Pretty swell, pretty swell.
How'd your GSE go last night?
So I've actually only done half of it, and it was against Canada Fet. I don't know if you guys are.
I know that.
Oh yeah, I
who
know
that
him.
is. So we are having a good match. He's stuck, or I think he's done is probably the proper word, on my back wall because I had Jabba back there. But I still have to take up. He's got a few funky teams that I'm still gonna have to take apart. So I don't know if I'm gonna beat him yet. But yeah, it's definitely a very competitive match, and it's a kind of a fun one because we're competitive in the same ways. Where like I think he only has about 100 or 200 more relic levels than me. So it's really just coming down to more raw strategy and mods and stuff like that.
Those are a lot more fun. My current GAC is about praying to God the strategy works. And if not, just taking my one win and leaving it alone.
Yeah.
I'm facing off against the number 2 player in GAC right now, so I am. This guy's got 839 rerolls on his Datacrons, and he's got 60 level 9s.
Jesus,
He has Datacrons that are pushing 400% defense.
that's
Yeah, those are. I mean, they're
Like-
they're kind of fun in their own right, but I feel like those are the more common ones nowadays. Like I don't like that. I was up against someone from CP last time, and it was the same thing. It's like, all right, Lord Vader has 380% defense.
Yeah.
So
why bother?
well, it's just like what's going to happen is my defense has to look like too much work, and he doesn't want to attack, or no, he doesn't
Yeah.
want to attack fully, and that's what happened. Like he lost 3 times by Rey, and he could have beaten it, but it's just like nah. So I won that one, but
Yeah. It's
not
just
competitively.
I'm pretty sure this guy gives a care. So I'm just like, either the defense holds or it's over. So I don't really care. I'm just
Yeah.
like,
It's like me and my guy slugged it out, but we both got stuck on Ray. He just got me by a couple banners because he was just more efficient. And I'm like, cool,
yeah,
I lose. You know, it's when you're Kyber 1, it comes down to that sometimes, you know. Even at the top of
yeah.
Kyber 2, you get these crazy matchups. So all right, get your questions in. I'm gonna start shouting out everybody, going through everything in the chat. So make sure you hit the thumbs up, guys. Real important. And get your questions in. Make sure you put the word question for your actual question, comment, or statement. We've got Jason Hobby, our first contestant on RSG. Says, word to the mothership. Word indeed, buddy. Bill Reagan's here. Says, hi, Ranger Skewers. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday to you. The engineer, engine number 9 on the New York Transit line. If that train goes off the track, pick it up, pick it up, pick it up. Back to the scene. He says, choo choo to Vegas, Ranger. That's right. You know, the name of his engine's Swevny, I think. Son of a bitch. What else? 73. He says, wow, we're here. How's your ulcer, Ranger? Yeah, I'm done. I thought it might have been an ulcer. I didn't know, but it's more just, I think, just a reaction. And, you know, don't do a lot of ab exercises before you do the hot chip challenge. Lesson learned. LBC Rob says, watched the Luke lore video this morning. We were so on the same page about the sequels. Thank you about that. Yeah, it was a really good conversation we had with the idiots on Luke.
Don't think that's going to change against most Star Wars fans.
No. Dark Side is here. Says, hello there. Hello there. Glad to have you here. Mr. Bones Ratlin says, good morning, skewers. Good morning, Mr. Bone. Skywalker Vader, a good Vulcan Canadian friend up there with the mushroom people of Nova Scotia, says, happy Canada, everyone. And he's drinking already. Well, it's Canadian. Canadian for you. See here, the engineer says, damn, only need to take HK from Relic 5 to Relic 7. Oh, you're talking about the
Levy Rex.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got Sith Troop will go to 7 today, then I think I got Darth Maul has to go to 7. It's just signal data. I can't go any faster than the signal data. Everything else I'm fine with. It's the signal data. You know, so I've already done Malik and Revan to 9. It's just Sith Trooper go up today, and then he's off the board. And then luckily I just have Sortie and Sith Assassin left at Relic 5. That won't be too hard. But getting Darth Maul and HK is going to take me a few days because the blues and the greens, man, I keep running out, farm them. It takes me 2 days usually to get the pieces I need for each level. It's like, Christ. Then after that, I'm going to get Cal to, in the next couple days, there's no rush on it, get him to Relic 0, but I'm not taking him up any higher until after I get these other prerequisites done, because even though I still think we're a couple weeks off from Leviathan, why tempt fate, Frodo? You know, just to stay on target.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, if you're not going to have Cal to R7 like tomorrow, then what's it matter?
Yeah, it
right?
doesn't matter.
Because that's the special mission for him. Our guild isn't going to get the Zeppo this go around. So, I mean, not for a long go arounds. We're probably 3 to 6 months out before we even have enough for that. So I don't see a huge reason to rush it. He's a fun character, but
he's phenomenal. Kevin McDonald had a farm EAOA up there in Canada. Another fellow Canadian says, have a great time in Vegas. Cheers. Yeah, thank you. Michael again, aka Jedi Rules, says, hey from San Diego. What's going on, buddy? And he became a member. Thank you for that. Athena Works says, I'm done with the Leviathan requirements, except 40 shards, short, and fury. I blame Finn. Well, I think there might be a pack coming here soon that might help you with that. Right before Leviathan launches. I don't think you have to worry about that. Just like they did with Cal. It's like, look at all these packs for Cal. And the event came back. Surprise, anyone? No.
The pack was terrible too.
Oh, the trash.
It was like more expensive than shipments, and it's like,
which one?
All right.
The one for Cal and
the one it's
the $50.
Well, the one that for the one that was for all the requirements. It's like 1,500 crystals, and you get 15 shards of one of the characters. So it's 100 shards.
Oh,
100 crystals per shard. You could just buy them for 80, the one you want from the shipments.
Yeah, if it mimicked the ones from like the Revan events where you got all 5 pulls from a minimum of 15 to 50 shards, then those ones were worth it. But yeah, the $50 pack was actually pretty solid because it was just the 5 characters that was already 10,000 crystals right there, and then the additional 25 gets you to 1,200. So you're almost to a vault's worth of crystals for $50.
Yeah,
But if you don't, it only works if you don't have all 5.
well, people are being
Otherwise, it's
tempted by
Which I don't actually. So that
Yeah.
one wouldn't be like if I were to spend, that wouldn't be terrible.
yeah. Because then you still get gear on top of that too. So I don't know if it's 3,000 crystals worth of gear because they devalued a lot of the gear with the economy changes. But
Oh yeah.
if I don't remember if it still has Kairos in it, but yeah, if it had a decent amount
It
of stuff
does,
in
yeah.
it, then okay. If you pull the Kairos, then it'd probably get you there. But I don't know what it pulls. I'm not going to bother because
Well,
I
it was
already have the
interesting.
thing.
I was watching Zara's video yesterday, great expectations like I always do. And they had
Yeah.
Ando on, and he was talking about seeing how good Jedi Cal is. He's like, this is the first time in a long time after looking at that kid and seeing how good this character is that he's like, I might well. He's like, the packs suck. He's like, do I 10th fate? Will it be back in 3 months, or will it be like Grand Inquisitor 6 months? It was an interesting conversation that they had.
Well,
about it.
I think Grand Inquisitor had a different motivational tool behind the weight.
Yeah.
I think part of that was to get people to was for Reva and TB, and we don't know behind the scenes what caused that initial thing. We just have our speculations.
Yeah.
TB might have been released later than they thought. I mean, there's a half dozen reasons. It might have been we'll just wait for a month to re-release it because we were going to release it with TB launches, and then TB got pushed back 2 months, and so it's like, oh well, shit, now we're way behind on everything. But I don't know, hard to say.
I would agree with that. I think not just Grand Inquisitor, but the whole Inquisitor timeline, I think, was a little bit unique because of how they were trying to release it in conjunction with the Kenobi show and with TB. And if any of those pieces change, then it just gets moved out. And yeah, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't expect that cadence to continue. I think like
No.
Garthrick's saying, it was pretty unique.
Well, it was
Yeah.
so heck jive. We just didn't know what the hell was going on with it, right? And I think that
Yeah.
that was the most frustrating part for me. I already had him, but I was just frustrated for our guildies because he came back right as the new TB launched, right? And so people were upset because like, why didn't he come back 3 months ago? Would again, it was time to get him to Relic 7, and I was like, okay.
Well, and yeah, and for everybody who until Reva was announced, there was no reason to really go hard after Inquisitors, which
No.
was the unfortunate part because Reva really changed the faction into a much more consistent team. They were still a good team prior, but they were the apex of kind of CG's initial like team
Datacron
development.
launch.
Yeah.
No, team development. CG has this team development idea where it's like if you play at the pinnacle, which is like ideal modding, ideal turn orders, ideal everything else.
Oh yeah.
The team is
Yep.
phenomenal what they can do. But without it, they're just fall apart in pieces. It's like it's the epitome of Bad Batch all over again. And I feel like that was like their design, like during that era was kind of their design view. If this team goes first and your turn order plays out on your first 5 turns perfectly, you'll dominate 90% of the teams out there with this team. But if you go second, it goes to hell in a handbasket very quickly. And so I feel like that was the problem with Inquisitors, is that nobody could commit to a brand new squad, plus 150 speed sets to 4 of the 5 characters. So I understand where a lot of the player base just lost interest with it, but then they like, oh, well, Grand Inquisitor's back. Here's Reva. You've got 2 weeks to R5 all these characters you haven't given a shit about for 9 months.
Question
The
from
event worked out.
Go ahead, Calvin.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I felt good about it because the event came back exactly 6 months. Which, if you're being like super free to play about it and just slow farming it, that was like amazing value because not only did I get it as soon as they were unlocked, and this is probably not super great, but it also meant that I didn't have to deal with all these people that were waiting for months and months and months. I didn't have to deal with them having Grand Inquisitor against me. So it was it was pretty nice for me personally, but I understand the frustration. Yeah, it sucks to have a character geared for what was told to be the normal cadence and then sit on it for 3 months.
Yeah, I know. Kate got really frustrated because she just missed Grand Inquisitor by a hair, and then
she missed it by days.
Yeah, and so she was not happy about that. So.
Hey, I was upset with Grand Inquisitor for a different reason, but that was just because I bought into the hype
Yeah.
that he was going to come with the beginning of the Kenobi show, which was like a week after Fifth Brother release, right? So I was just dead set convinced it was coming. So I wailed all out on Fifth Brother through the marquee packs to bring him up in time for the event,
Yeah.
and then sat on it for 2 months. And I'm like, balls,
Yeah.
this
Uh,
is stupid.
let's get to some questions. Phil Reagan, do you recommend farming non-accelerator tunes that are good if you aren't working on what they support? Um,
I mean, if you don't have a home for a character, why are you bothering with the
yeah,
shards unless you
if
are
nothing else to, yeah, but I don't understand.
needing to go towards an event, like a journey event, right? Like that would be the only thing I would work on is characters that are needed for events that you maybe like Starkiller specifically, right? If you don't have like the scoundrels to support Dash or the rebel fighters support Kyle, fine, but Starkiller is still worth it in the end. Like the like journey character, sure, but if you're like, well, I want to farm Cal Scavenger, but you don't have an UFA team or anything to really put them, or even a raid team to put them with, then like you're getting a little ahead of the cart there,
Yeah,
or horse, yeah,
horse before
horse.
head of the cart, or the cart before the horse.
Well,
Patrick.
especially it's all cost benefit. Like, so why are you doing Cal when you could be doing Mara Jade is really what it comes down to. Because I'm uh like I just farm whatever's new because I don't have anything else to farm essentially because I've already gotten all of it up. But if you have the option to do something else, do the something else.
Yeah, it's even if something is accelerated, I've always told you guys, if you're not doing anything with the character or team, leave it alone because your resources need to be going all toward the one thing that you're working on, whether it's a GL or say Cal or for Star Killer or gas, whatever it is you're doing, focus on that because you know, there's always something you're going to be striving for in this game. So just use your resources. And again, this is a resource management game toward that, whether it's accelerated or not. I mean, it doesn't make sense unless I don't know. If you only have so much energy you're using, even with crystals, use it toward what you have. Now, if you have something left over at the end of the day with the farm you're working on and you want to work on an additional character, think about something that will be the next project you're working on. Let's say you're working on Star Killer, but you're thinking about Jabba, then work on the like Boosh or Kersantin or somebody along those lines. But if it doesn't fall in the parameters of what you're working on, then don't bother. You'll get it eventually because you're going to have to work on something as you progress through each of your teams, as you get more of these GLs and legendaries and things of that nature done. All these characters are going to get. I mean, they're all going to get it. There's a few that don't, like Ugnaught or Pup, that are not required for anything. Ewoks, but I mean, well, Ewoks are required for 3PO too. But you're not going to just don't touch them. Put them at level 50, throw some mods in there to free some mod space up and leave them alone. And for your other characters, leave them alone. They're not going to do anything for you. So unless you're going to get the team up, you're just wasting materials you could be
Yeah.
wasting on stuff that you can make your other stuff better. What else in 3? If it makes you feel any better, Carl, I'm the only one who can do the special mission for Zephyros. You'll get there before we do.
I mean, sorta. We're gonna make Cal the guild priority going forward. So
Yeah.
now that we know everything, that's gonna be our guild's focus is getting Cal the special missions from the Cal characters, get those teams built up. So get the Rebel Fighters to R7 for the Saw mission, and get the Night Sisters R7 for the Marin mission, and get Cal and Seer up for their mission and access to Zepho, and then unlocking Cal. But it's crazy how beneficial that is to a guild right now, more so than chasing stars. Like hitting 36 stars, you're better off deviating for Cal, and even to a certain extent getting the get 3 special mission stuff kind of squared away, than you are chasing more stars, because it's just so brutal. It's like phase 5, everyone in the guild has to commit to at least 4 relic 9s, and everyone kind of gets a good one, because everyone's going to get a GL or legendary character that's required, and they're not, those are always nice to have at R9, but everyone's going to get screwed with a crappy one. It's like, who wants R9 ETH Koth, who wants R9 Cup, who wants R9
Off
you
Rebel
know
Soldier.
Yeah, any of those guys, and so and they're just so much more
Rolo.
expensive for nothing. You know, the relic materials that go into it is almost two R8s. You know, the signal data you're dumping into it is just harder and harder to come by now with all the new requirements. So it's not fantastic, but it's kind of the direction we want to run because it doesn't I mean, I just saw Nathaniel's comment with Forest Farms. I'm like, it's one or the other. Either you commit to an R9, for platoons because it's a guild effort. You have to spread it around, otherwise you're going to get one person leaves and you lose 16 stars in freaking TB. But it's if you want to progress and keep getting the best rewards you can, you have to start investing into those squads.
All right. Jedi Rules question, Ranger. When are you leaving for Vegas? I am leaving on Wednesday. So after Monday, there won't be a stream for me for a week. Tuesday's 4th of July, not streaming. Wednesday, not streaming. I leave in the afternoon, get there at night. So, and I'll be there through the 8th. I leave on the 8th, come back, but be my birthday weekend. So there won't be any Jedi Academy or lore videos or anything for a week or two. So it's a busy time, So there you go. Question from What Else 93. How do you feel about Cal's Omicrons? The lead seems good unless you can't use him as lead. You'll need the lead for T. We don't know yet. We're still on the fence on this, aren't we, Karth? I mean,
Well, so you can't use him as lead for the seer mission, which is fine. I don't think you'll need it. I think he will deal with the seer mission just fine, but I think you're still going to need like I feel like they've intentionally designed some stuff for the Omicrons to be somewhat required because we know on Zepho specifically he has a mission that he leads by
yes.
himself with him and Jedi. So there's going to be likely a need on that mission alone just for the where is it? There's going to be a mission that requires him. Those are the platoon requirements. Okay, I was just scouting through the data mine for it. But I mean, it's just going to be one of those things where we're going to have to a degree, have to deal with it. We're going to have to deal with at some point having the leadership for that mission. Everything else kind of seems optional, but it seems like they've kind of designed him to work through the entire TB, not specifically those missions. So if you're not going to see Zepho, like I wouldn't throw down an Omicron until you see Zepho. That's how I would put it. If your guild is not getting the Zepho, don't worry about his Omicrons. Because it's just not. I don't think it's worth it. You're not adding enough unless you really need another team for CMs. I wouldn't throw them down.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll to be determined. But yeah, the leadership for sure. And then I think we were talking about the leadership or with the other in the special unique, the one that gives the other bonuses and stuff. I don't know about the third one. We were kind of like, yeah, do we really need that one?
Well, they're interesting mechanics because of how it works. The Whirlwind Slam is your sustain through a lot of this stuff, and your AoE stun, right? There's a lot of good ones with that. That one's usually the second one that's recommended after the leadership. The Impetuous Assault is it's decent, but I don't think it'd be required. From how well he lifts everything else, I don't think that Omicron's gonna really be needed. So if I were doing anything, I would start with the lead and then I would start with Whirlwind Slam if you're not going to lead with him. If you are going to lead with him, then throw the leader on first and then do Whirlwind Slam. But I would hold on Impetuous Assault until there was a reason for it. I just don't see one right now.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Oh, Dub Drums says, "Hey Ranger and Skewers, just a heads up. I live in Vegas, and the temperature this week is going to be between 108 and 115, low in the 70s. Would like to join you in the fun. Where and what day would be best? Thursday and Friday, the 6th and the 7th will be the best days to do that. Dub Drum, message me in Discord. I'm going to create a group for the skewers and keep everybody together. If you're a skewer, and just message me, I'm going to create a group because I know Contingent's going to be there, Loki's going to be there, Hermit's going to be there. There's going to be quite a few of us there, so I'd like to keep us as a group and as we go out and do stuff. Well, wherever we're doing, so we can keep that group together. It's going to be pandemonium. There's going to be so many people there, dude. It's going to be ridiculous. So, but message me in there. I'm going to create a group today. If you are going to be there and you're a skewer, I'm going to do that so I can put my phone number there so you guys get my phone number and information. So while we're in Vegas, you can just text me and stuff. But I got to create a group for that because I don't want to just put that information here to the ether. Carl Copage says question. Oh, hey, Ray Rock. Glad to have you here. Says happy up, everyone. Carl says question. I just got Maul to Gear 13. What is the best Mandalorian team for the crate raid, preferably non-BH? And does Maul need any mod changes for the raid? I have offense on, or high offense on him for damage. The best team that I've been running is, and I'm getting 1.8 right now, but that's Maul, Canderous, Armor, Bo-Katan, and I'm actually running Bam as well. And I'm doing 1.8 right now. I haven't taken them all to Relic 8. I've got a couple Relic 8s in there, but Leviathan, you need super fast armor. She's got to be above 360 speed because you've got to have her go first when you get to the top tier of that raid. You got to get that armor shred on, and it sets you up. And the opening move is she armor shreds, the team does a bunch of hits. Then with Maul, he goes next. Typically, you want to do his AoE, so you get to 5 stacks. Then you do your thing with Canderous with his AoE. That sets Maul up, and then you're off to the races. I've done it on the stream before. The only thing is trying to get that max damage. You just have to time it right with the abilities and everything. A little bit of RNG for it, so that you have enough stacks that you can finish him off. If not, you're gonna be like 1.6 million, like right below it. And if the turn meter doesn't work against you, well, you're gonna discard and submit because you want to get the max damage of 1.8. That's ideally the team. I've heard some people say Sabine for an extra additional armor shred instead of Bo. The Bane 4 is still going to be there. You do want Bam in there. He's constantly taunting. He's going to one that gets eaten. And so, yeah. And then you got to time your charges with Maul too on after the first run with him with the 5 stacks. That you just have the 3 mines on the ground. That when he does his AoE, after Bam gets eaten, that you have 5 stacks because that gives Maul 5 stacks of his thing immediately. And you're going right back into the hole, hitting the Great Dragon again. Is there any variations besides Bo-Katan? I've heard people say they like Sabine. If you have high relic Sabine for the armor shreds, Karth, Cal.
I mean, you can do variations on it, but for the most part, that's going to be the core team that's going to get you consistent plays. I mean, you're not going to. Like Bo-Katan's there for the sustain, armor's there to get you out in front of everything. Bam really helps you with your damage sustain. Canderous really kind of helps circle turn meter and keep putting the dots on the thing, and then Mandalorian just gets you the mass, or Maul gets you the masses every time. So I mean, it's gonna be one of those things. But the unfortunate part there, Carl, is that the this raid is designed for investment. So it's like all the teams just drastically improve performance once they hit like that tier 5 and tier 6 levels because of what they have access to for their perks. So it's like you can get reasonably well. There's a lot of guides out there on YouTube that have done how to do the lower tiers and get the 1200 with Mandalorians, and then they're a lot more flexible at those tiers for what modding requirements are and those kinds of things, but they do become a challenge, and they're a little bit more RNG because of just you don't have access to the same abilities that are granted going up. So it's not just that the crate raid gets harder as you go up, it's that you also get more abilities as you go up. So yeah, it makes it easier for more I guess buffs than abilities. But yeah.
Any thoughts, Calvin, on the Maul team?
No, I think what Karthik said was actually pretty important. Both Maul and Tuskens, they get significant buffs later on, so there is a little bit of flexibility in the comp, but I think you covered that pretty well.
All right. What else in 3 question? Do you foresee anyone putting Beyonce Cal on defense with as unique as his abilities are? That's a great question. We'll go to you, Calvin, first.
Not with.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to go to Cal.
Yeah, Cal can go.
No, you can go over Karth. You got something.
Yeah, what do you got, Karth?
So my only
defense with Cal.
Well, if you're gonna do defense, you're not gonna put him with JML. It's just a waste. I am getting torn apart in my arena shard right now because everybody wants to test against it, and I've got him with JML, even with a 70% Datacron with the Bolt Cron. It's still the same JML team. JMK is just gonna go to taunt ignore and yeet him out, right? Like that's and it's over. You don't have to worry about because your cat gets there before he does. So it's not going to really change the counters. They're still going to be able to JMK. They're still going to be able to see it. They're still going to be able to use a lot of the same counters against that team because he doesn't, unlike Cat, who massively increases the stats of the entire team behind it. Cal doesn't really do that. So Cal would be if you want to do like a Jedi Knight Revan team on defense and bulk the speed up a little bit, make the team really kind of obnoxious to deal with, and that would you're going to force an overkill with a GL, which is what you're trying to draw out their options, then that's a possibility. But I mean, for how much he just is making JML just slap against, making JMK a lot more consistent. He's really dialing back the Jedi needed for him to deal with like Slacker and Rey. So you're getting a lot of options there. Cal being able to hit under protection while in the dual wield stance is, basically just making Rey trivial because you're hitting everyone to DI in like 10 seconds. And so there's a lot of things that are really powerful with his kit that's helping you change the comps up for what he can do on offense to help alleviate your Jedi much more comfortably split like Jedi Knight Luke from JML, so you could run like JKL to do like a GL counter if you needed to, or a pair up. But honestly, I think in my head right now, what I'm going to try to figure out is how to beat Malgus with Cal. That kind of seems the route he's aiming for is to beat Malgus with Cal. And if I can do that consistently with decent banners, then C's going to go fight something else. But it alleviates a GL to deal with another team. So I'm leaning more offensively with him. I think if you're not in Kyber 1, you could go have some fun on defense and just make your opponents figure it out or overkill it with a GL. But outside of that, it's really hard to say what he's going to do because there's like 4 different ways to mod him right now. Everyone's got an idea of what's the best. I think it's all dependent upon the lead on what he's going to do best for your group. But I think for the most part, people are going to probably, unless they just want experience with what it does on defense, they're going to probably lean offensive with it and try to beat like Malgus with it consistently without needing Luke. So you can have the Luke together, Jedi Knight Revan and Cal go together, and then deal with multiple good teams all at the same time.
Yeah, I saw Cal, Jedi Knight Revan taking the shit out of SLKR. I think the other team was Maul Mandos.
Nathaniel was talking about beating Malgus with him.
Yeah.
But the thing is though, is that that's without Malgus's Omicrons active, and I think Malgus's Omicrons are going to cause a bit of a headache. The fear is one thing, the doubt is another can of worms. And then if you have a triple Omicron Malgus, how does that impact that fight? Do you need to bring in better Jedi? Because his version of beating Malgus was with pretty hunky teams. They're not really anything good. It was Cal and Bastila and then 3 trash Jedi. So I mean that's a good start for the whole thing. But Malgus's team is so fast, right? And there's just so much that goes on with Malgus's team that it's like great that you can get Terminator out of the fears, but you're still gonna deal with Malgus's massive mollywop hit. There's just so many things to fight around. So I was like, can JKR, Basta, Jolie, Cal plus maybe GMY or Hermit Yoda, can that make a reasonable dent in 5v5 with the Omicrons active? So if that's the case, I'm more than happy to take it on offense and deal with that every time. But again, it's one of those things that if I take it there, then I've got to figure out where to move all my other pieces around because you use Revan as a kind of a multi-tool in GAC. So
Yeah,
just things to
Calvin,
fight with.
I don't know if you unlocked Jedi Calvin. I haven't had a chance to pick your brain. What do you think of his kit, and where do you have him? Are you working toward him? I mean, where are you at with? But I haven't seen his kit. What do you think about him so far?
Honestly, like I'm like way out there in regards to him right now, just because I didn't get him, and I'm probably just not going to get him until it completely comes back around. So a lot of this is a little bit just like out of my wheelhouse, so to speak.
Yeah,
But typically, I mean, more often than not with these newer characters, the decision is to just stick them on defense, even almost regardless of kind of they work, unless you have like a specific plan for just end how good they end up really being. But um, yeah, I don't know. He looks really good. I'm really happy for everyone who was able to kind of get him right out the gate, and I think he's gonna yield some good stuff.
I agree. I agree. All right, let's go to the next question from the engineer. Choo choo. It's this question: how much do guilds depend on bots? Sometimes I get noticed to place or battle when it's done already 4 hours or so ago, like crate rate. It says I should get 4.4 million, but never get close. I think the only thing we use is, I'll let you speak to your guild, Calvin. But we use it typically just for notifications, and they're usually spot on. And I know we use it in TB. It's a tool Karth is set up to let us know who to deploy. It's already set up with the hotbot and everything. But everything else, we use the bots for a lot of stuff, like when the raid launches, when the raid ended, that kind of thing. I know it's an invaluable tool for officers, to let people know it's on a timer. Every time something goes, they don't have to sit there and repost shit all the time. It just automatically does it. It's set up so that they can just, they don't have to worry about that side of it to get things done. So I know bots are pretty invaluable for my guild officers. Calvin, what about your guild?
I mean, I think we use. I honestly don't know for my current guild how much or where they really get used. Because I typically when I'm reminded, it's by someone actually telling me rather than a bot. But I mean, they've been important for a lot of stuff for a long while. Kind of like you're saying, especially with reminders,
Hmm.
making sure people kind of know what they're doing.
Yeah, like RLR deployment gets botted for TB. The only time the officers say something is like when they're specifically like, you know, they need you to do something specific. Then they'll type a message in each of the chats that we have for the raid to TB, things of that nature. But typically they're just announcements, and it's bot related. So when the crate raid launches, when the crate raids get to a certain point, reminder to do your damage, those kind of things. But that's all bot related. But it's usually the officers have to get involved with like when it comes down to deployment, hunting down people and say, hey, you need to do your missions and deploy, or we're in this TW fight, and you have to get into the minutia details. But outside of that, all the heavy lifting, I think Calvin is done by bots right now, which is nice. It should be. I mean, hell, my shard chat in Fleet has bots, for payouts and everything like that. So yeah, it's been something I think we've all been using for a long time.
Well, the bot helps with a lot of different under the hood parts of the mechanics. So it's like and also this title that caused absolute chaos for hot utils. They are trying to get some commands functional again because everything kind of got screwed up a little bit with how they redid some stuff. But like I can go to hot utils right now. I can go to our TB planning station on hot utils. It will tell me how many waves every player has done. It'll tell me how many, who has deployed, who hasn't deployed. I can send some stuff from here to the guild via DM or whatever else. It's like right now I can scroll down and it'll tell me, how many we need 41 million more GP to hit all 9 stars. We have 102 million deployable. So now I can just message the guild and say, hey, everyone who hasn't deployed yet, CM is no longer required. Go ahead and deploy. And I'm done with it versus going into the guild and tagging everyone individually. But other mechanics like the new raid, they haven't quite got everything super set up yet to where you can go through the same thing for the crate raid. So that one requires a little bit more manual, but it goes back and forth. The bot just helps a lot with kind of just keeping track of the minimums back and forth. I don't think it's super necessary to run a guild. It just alleviates a lot of your time from having to just do it manually. So if you're going to do it manually, you need a lot more officers involved. Otherwise, somebody's going to have a part-time job just making sure everyone's getting their tickets and doing their CMs and things of that nature.
All right. Hello there, Silver Fox. Hello there. Dizzy says happy Saturday morning. Good morning, Dizzy girl. Helly says happy good Saturday morning, Archie crew, esteemed panelists, and every single skewer in the chat. Hope your weekend's starting well and that y'all don't have to work like my broke arse. And a traditional happy Saturday morning to my non-biological Spartan brother from another mother, Ray Rock. Get a room. Oh God. It's already starting. Oh God. And then there's Ray Rock. Okay, good. LBC Rob, what's going on, Rob? Says, do you think they are going to add more missions on Rise of the Empire for Cal? Nope. I don't.
For Cal specifically, no. I think they will continue this trend of bringing in new. I promise you, the legendary character that comes in December or January to however it lands, it will get added to the TB. It probably will get its own planet. It will probably get its own CMs throughout the entire thing. Just plan on that being the mantra for every new thing that they release, because it's going to it gives them basically a second set of requirements for the characters, for anybody who's going to unlock them. So it's like the only character right now in theory that you can leave at gear 12 for a Cal is Tarful. Everyone else, if you want to do this, if you want to do the missions, if you want to do any of that stuff, you have to have them at R7. So it's like, yeah, there gear 12 requirements that you also have to have at R7 if you want to use them anywhere inside the TB for their missions. So I expect that to be the running mantra going forward for CG, is just to immediately incorporate whatever they're doing into special missions or their own planets that require those characters. And I'm okay with that, because I think Zepho's rewards are actually 100% worth running after to a degree. The additional 450 get 3 for the entire guild for doing it to 2 stars. The basically 25 of each Cairo is super nice. So it's all kind of relative stuff, but it's a good way for them to incentivize going after characters, and also putting some low-hanging fruit that doesn't require guilds to go to phase 6 to get access to it. At some point they probably will, but for now it's at least low enough hanging fruit where R7s are enough to get where you want to go.
I agree. The biggest sandfly down by the beach. Welcome to Sandflies. Be in the chat. He said we don't use the bot, Calvin. You may kill him now, Calvin.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I honestly, I think we have a bot and it's called Go Cubs, and it works very well.
Okay, there you go. Yeah. Poor Go Cubs.
My head went to the other Cubs for a second. I'm like, he doesn't even play.
That doesn't make sense. Softwan says, guys, Roger. Hi. Hello there. Glad to have you here. Hellnix, oh goody, another question for Helly. I just love these. Says Helly, question for the panel. I've noticed a reduction in the drop rate on my 4 remaining Inquisitors after the recent update. Did CG break something? I've gone from 3 or 4 shards pulled to 0 to 1 at best. Well, I talked to the Illuminati and I told them to make your life hell. So welcome to my world there, Helly. It's just you. It's not me.
I hear your drop rates go back if you take off one shoe and leave the other one on. It evens out. You can't have them both off, and you can't have them both on, because otherwise it just cancels itself out.
Yeah, there's something about a ritual where you need a Lucky's rabbit's foot, a drop of blood, and a pack of Twizzlers as a sacrifice, and then you'll get better drop rate. I bet he believes that. I bet you Helen is writing that down right now. Oh, is that all I need to do?
That's all.
I mean, it's a CG requires one of two things every month to activate your good drop rates in for your account. It's either your firstborn child,
Yes, yes.
um, as a permanent, and that does buy you only the month though. So you got to keep pumping out a kid every month and keep sacrifice, which means you got to plan way in advance for this.
Yeah.
Or you just got to give them that sweet spot of about $250 a month, and then all of a sudden your drop rate gets really good.
It's amazing.
But it honestly, it's just how the game goes, guys. It's like you take an average of 33% and you spread it over enough data and it pencils. But if you take it by like, oh my goodness, this last week I've only gotten 15 shards and I got like 30 shards the week before, it's like, okay, but now you got 45 over the 2 weeks. How does that compare to what the drop rate should be? And that's kind of where it's hard to answer this stuff empirically because there's no way to know. We don't have all the information to even answer it. It's just it comes and goes. I'll get farming nodes or like Cairo nodes. Well, I'll do 3 pulls in a row of 200 and I'll get 8 to 10 Kairos every time. And then the next day I'll do the same thing and I'll get 2 Kairos. So it's like it's just how it works. There's a drop rate that's behind there. Some days you get really high, some days you get really low. I mean, like it's like what we had with the stupid the galactic chases. Same thing, One day I pulled 50 shards, the next day I pulled 12. Same amount of energy spent. It just is what it is.
Ray Rock wants to let you know, Calvin, PSA, Aldous has been selling your JC defense, he said. Well, if you're going to pull someone's defense, that's the man to do it. Don't look at me and Karth. We're idiots. We're all Kyber 1, but there's different levels to how...
He's been doing what with my defense?
He's he's using your defense for his JC.
Oh, just mimicking it?
Yeah, he's
copying. You might get some weird stuff then.
Oh, well, good. All this deserves a thing. Soft one says, guys, I'm new here and I would like to know what is your favorite Star Wars episode? I'll go first. In order with movies and shows, Rogue One is my favorite of all time. After that, I'm going to say Andor is number 2 for me. Number 3 is Return of the, Empire Strikes Back. I just had a brain fart moment, sorry. And then after that, Mando season 2 is in that order for me for Star Wars shows and or movies. What about you there, Karth? You're over there thinking about it.
Sure.
Episode 3 is number 5. It'll be top 5 for me.
Like
shows and movies. What do you think?
Shows. Well, see, but I have a different nostalgia approach to Star Wars. I do like the original trilogy, but it does not grasp my attention the way that the Clone Wars era stuff does. But the Clone Wars era stuff too is like, hands down, I like the animated series more than any of the 3 episodes in totality. And I'll take it all with the bad and the good, because the first couple seasons of Clone Wars is rough.
It's very rough.
It's everyone's like, why do you watch this? I'm like, get to like season 3, 4, 5, it gets really good. But you gotta have the context of the first 2 for it to come together. So that kind of stuff I really liked. I loved Andor. I loved Rogue One. For me, a lot of it comes down to the storytelling in those particular things, and I think ones where you have either a more finite space to work in, they just do a little bit better job flushing things out, versus some of the other things where it's like a predetermined story. So you kind of like it's weird, right? 1 through 3, it's a predetermined story. It's Anakin's fall to Darth Vader. But I don't like how they went about it compared to like Rogue One, where it's a predetermined story. Everybody dies at the end because that's the way it has to end. There's no other way around this. And yet it felt meaningful, where it's like Anakin's fall was heartbreaking to a degree, but like the storytelling behind it kind of made it seem like you had a 180 switch somewhere in between, where he's just like, now I'm mad at the world.
Well, that's why I think Clone Wars is so important, because especially those later seasons, you see the reasoning behind Anakin's fall, especially with, spoilers, Snips being first expelled and then leaving the Jedi Order, and then everything else that just leads up to everything. There's a mission where Kenobi lies to him. There's a lot of betrayal from the Jedi. That's set up
Yeah.
through things with Palpatine. Of course, Palpatine, the master puppeteer behind all this, but it really fleshes out his character. So if you watch the Clone Wars before you watch Episode 3, it really it makes a huge bit of difference on how you feel about Anakin, which I thought Episode 3 was fine for his motivations, but it was, there's only so much you can do in a couple hours.
I think a lot of it was just skipped over. There was a lot of bouncing back and forth between the combat to keep the pacing good, and then the more of the struggles of Anakin, where they do a very good job in Clone Wars with whole episode arcs of showing Anakin's slow mistrust of the Jedi, his relationship issues with Padme, just a lot of things that came from doing what he was doing, and a lot of things that people that were close to him made some poor decisions as well. They didn't do well. So I like those for those reasons. I like it when I get more time with the story, and I feel like the episodes like 4, 5, and 6 is such a nice little tight story, but I just don't draw to it the way I do with the stuff that I was as a kid, which that's like it's a nostalgia thing. I like that era a lot. The newer stuff I keep wanting to forget. It's not like it's bad, but it's just not like it does not find a home in me.
Well, it's up and down from like Mando's been extraordinary. Boba Fett.
Parts of Mando has been extraordinary. I liked the first 2 seasons. Season 3 was okay.
I love
it. And season 2 was okay. There were parts of it that were I really enjoyed, and parts of it that I'm just like, I want to go back to the vibe of season 1. And like that's kind of where I'm like I'm
hoping the next season's like that, now that he's training Grogu and stuff.
But that's just kind of how it plays out for me in the long run, is like it just depends on what grabs you, what you are most interested by. People who are very into the Mandalorian things love everything about it. The whole thing is fantastic.
Geeking the fuck out, dude.
And that's completely fine. It's just for me. Yeah, I'm just like I liked Andor a lot.
Andor's phenomenal.
Mando's a good watch, but it's not topping the charts for me anywhere. But
season
21-year-old me was giggling like a schoolgirl watching the Clone Wars animated movie, that one that they actually came out in theaters with, at all the references and everything else I did with it, as a full grown adult. So I mean, it's just for a lot of people, I think where you come into Star Wars is what you get tied to the most, and what you feel like you enjoy more story on.
Alvin, what is your top 5 Star Wars movies and/or shows?
Top 5. I mean, that's a huge number.
Huge like me with my large hands.
I have just a really strong affiliation. It started when I was a kid, kind of died down when I was a teenager, and then came back really strongly in the last couple of years. But I really love Phantom Menace. Like that one for me just kind of tops it all. The characters that were revealed in it, the Duel of Fates, this overall story arc, and obviously, that was made really better by what the Clone Wars did with it. But that's like number 1 for me. I mean, just everything with the prequels. I think the one thing that I might be a different, maybe not different, but like that really top 5 for me is Rebels. Rebels was also really stinking good. From a story perspective, I think it nailed it, and I think it complemented Clone Wars so well, where Clone Wars mirrored the prequels in the sense that its strongest attribute was story building, and not story building, world building, and like showing us everything else that is out there, why it matters, and how it affects the overall story. Whereas Rebels, I think, mirrored the original trilogy, where it really just focused in on this one set of group and their development, and everything was just so well done. Like top 3 moments for me are easily Luke telling. I'll put Return of the Jedi in there. I'm not sure what order these are in.
It doesn't matter. It's your top 5. You don't have to give them a number if you don't want to.
But Return of the Jedi would be in there as well. That was one thing that was really, inspiring for me as a little kid watching, Luke turn down this ultimate temptation to the dark side. And I mean, I watch these things with my dad. Like I think that also plays a really big part in it. So their connection and their relationship of obviously being flawed, but them still finding some type of redemption in the end. Like I can identify with that a lot.
All right, so that's 3. What are the other 2?
So I said Phantom Menace, Clone. All right, so Phantom Menace, Clone Wars, Rebels, Return of the Jedi. And Revenge of the Sith is hard to turn down, so we'll go with that one.
Good choices. All right. Helenix says, question for Andrew. I've been known to mess up while playing SWGOH from time to time. I forgot to battle my GS on Wednesday night. Did I screw up again? It's not my fault, even though it is. Yeah, seek responsibility and take responsibility for your actions. Sandfly says, so many spoilers. Well, these things have been out 20, 30 years. Sorry, Sandfly.
Vader is Luke's father, yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That came out in 1980. So, 43 years, get cut up, scrub. Ray Rock says, by the way, happy Canada Day to all the Canadian skiers. Oh, happy Canadian Day, eh? They need more money. So on Canadian Day, we need to send them more money. It says, for sure. Let's see here. Seth says, also, I heard they're bringing Ray character back to movies that, or maybe I'm wrong with what I heard. No, they are. We heard the synopsis of the original story.
They are, yeah.
I'm already checked out. So the other 2, I'm completely like the Origins of the Jedi. We've covered it on the lore videos series here with the Jedi. I'm fascinated by them making the movie about that. And then the other one with just this Filoni, which good. I'm good. I will watch the shit out of that. But the Ray one with the story synopsis we got so far from the rumor mills and stuff, I'm checked out. It's just like, no. So I don't even want to talk about it. So yeah. We actually talked about it. You know where you want to see us talk about it? Go watch the lore video with Luke. You'll see.
We did talk about it then. Yeah, it's
I need one of the mods to time out Heli for 5 minutes. He asked me to do the origins of He Who Shall Not Be Named. You know better than this, Heli. Thank you very much. 5 minutes, Heli. Not playing around anymore. Enjoy your 5-minute ban. I want you to go home and rethink your life. Why this is happening, Helenix? Just want that to sink in. All right, now let's get to the real questions. You have big balls for asking, but I have bigger balls for timing you out. You are potato. All right, Darsign question. What's a good counter to Chieftain with the Omni and level 9 Datacrons for 3v3? And also, what's the strategy? What did we use the other day on that? I used Gidme and kicked the shit out of it the other day.
Which one? Like, are you like Chieftain Zombie or Raider Zombie?
I think
it's Chieftain Omni, but are we talking with Raider Omni with Chieftain, or are we talking about Boba with Chieftain? Because those are 2 different teams.
Yeah, because
Boba's a different story, but
they have very different counters.
If it's just Tuskens, go Gidme the shit out of it and get your max banners. The Boba Fett one, what did we have to use on that? What's the team comp for that?
Your gas typically has to beat the traditional Tusken one.
Adrad will do the Boba Fett one. Yeah. Usually you can get away with if you want to multi-tap it, you can do Adrad with the or you can do Adrad versus the triple Tusken lineup, but you're typically only gonna get Warrior out. You're never gonna touch anybody else because you'll just time out after a while. It just becomes a lot to deal with. You can usually get Warrior out through an AoE and they proc all the exposes, but Chieftain never hits anybody, and you don't have the firepower to kill both Tusken Raiders at the same time.
Yeah, I know we've used Gidme with a but Son of Django team, and it works great. The other combination is gas, and then for the other one, it's Adrad. Pretty straightforward. Like if they've got Tuskens, you can use Adrad. I mean, Ram used it last night and finally beat the Tuskens, and he doesn't know what Tuskens do, so that should give you some indication of how good Adrad is against that. So I mean,
the only thing that I will say, if you use Gidme, and they have the Warrior Cron, do not open up with the turn meter reduction on Warrior.
No, it's got to be
because she will get a bonus turn and clear everything, and that will throw the whole thing in the toilet.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong on this play. It's in the way I've been doing, and I've beat it 3 times in a row with it. You target Chieftain, you do the reduction. Then you
Yes.
throw the thing over Padme. You go kick Chieftain in the head. If he doesn't die, then Shock T is going to get him. And then you just wait, because especially if they got the Datacron, if they're on, you're just attacking the other one that doesn't have 10 stacks, and it's going to be hard for him to get to 10 stacks. So you just, and Shock T's going to counter. It's beautiful. It works really well.
Once Chieftain's done, they stack momentum a lot slower, but you have to be quite careful depending on what the cron is, because the level 3 that whenever they inflict a dot, they get protection up. You got to be really careful on how you attack things, because if you end up having to go into somebody with momentum, you need to bring somebody like Shock T who can cleanse. Like, that's the main thing, is like you have to be very thoughtful on what the Datacron is, because if they're gaining the protection up on the dots, then you have to wait to cleanse it. Otherwise, if you go and kick somebody with 20 stacks of courage, you didn't touch them. They're just going to laugh at you maniacally as you don't do anything to them.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful on how you play it. So like Padme snips, Padme, what's her face? Shock T. Well, snips isn't really ideal either there, because you want the supports, but yeah, Padme Shock T is typically what you want to run there. Is just a way to cleanse, but that's the main thing. And I like Shock T there too, because she is not limited to targeting Galactic Republic with her abilities, so it's a good way to help keep Gideon alive. You can heal him, you can give a speed up, which helps him cycle his turns faster. So there are a lot of benefits to that lineup. But yeah, same idea throughout the entire thing. It's just be mindful of the mechanics, because it can snowball out of you in a real hurry if you're not paying attention.
Soft One says, do you guys read the Star Wars storybooks? And if you read any of the Star Wars books before, not only have I read all the books, and you can see some of them behind me on the shelf here, I've read all the comics. That's why we do the lore series, and I'm the lore master, because I've read all this shit. I've read all the books from Here to the Empire, Shadows of the Empire, Rogue One, the Vong Invasion, Abeloth. I mean, you go down the list. I've read all of them. Read all the comic books from Vader to the new Star Wars release. All of them. So I'm very in tuned. Harsh read some, not all, right? You've read a ton, though.
I've read quite a few of the books. They were back in my younger days when I was doing the reading, but yeah, I've read quite a few of the things. A lot more around the more current stuff, so like the original trilogy, and like some of the Rebel stuff. But the EU I've read some of, but I
read all the EU.
Not all of it.
What about you, Calvin? I've never asked you how many books or how much books or comics you've ever read or got into.
So I actually didn't really start to get into most of it until Disney kind of did away with introduced whatever the new canon is.
Mm-hmm.
I've read a handful. I haven't read a whole lot. I've read Dark Disciple was really good.
Yes.
I've read Master and Apprentice.
Yeah,
a lot of the stuff's focusing on the stuff, or not the sequel, the prequel stuff. And I did read Thrawn's new trilogy, like the Empire trilogy.
So good.
That one was really good.
Dude, you need to listen to audio.
I won't lie.
You need to listen to it on
audio.
I did.
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
And him doing the voice. Oh, my God. So good.
I won't lie, though. I'm currently stuck. And I've been trying, but it's hard because there's so many new concepts. I've been trying to listen to the Thrawn prequel one about him in the Chiss Empire.
Oh, nice.
And that one, it's a little bit of a harder thing, because like you're only, I mean, at least if you're kind of not in the know like I am, everything's new. Literally everything's new. The only thing that I know is Thrawn, and I guess there's a few characters that get mentioned in the Empire series. But yeah, I mean, I like them all. I have a small comic book collection too. I think I have like the first 20 or 30 issues for both the new Marvel, Star Wars, and Darth Vader runs. I have a first edition of Afra's comics. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty dope, dude. Yeah. People don't know that. It's like, who's Afra? Like, I guess you didn't read the comics. She's outstanding. I love.
Well, it was such a big deal when I think it was Vader issue 3.
Yeah.
It's 3 or 8, something like that. When that came out within the comic book world, everyone freaked out, because like this is a new character. They're going to go places where it's going to be really important.
And they didn't. Not yet. I'd love to see Afra pop into some of the new stuff. Older Afra, with all her choice and nonsense and stuff.
Well, I would love to see like Kiara and Afra get like their own kind of build up because I think Kiara had a nice like platform to walk to take over things with the end of Solo, which actually surprisingly I actually liked the Solo series, the movie itself.
I did too.
I didn't really have any issues with it like everyone else apparently did, but I didn't watch it till like 6 to 9 months after it released. I did not watch it after the heels of episode 8, so I
Garth,
don't think I had. What's up?
we just got pinged for phase one ROTE, not phase two.
Did we?
Yep.
Oh,
Mr.
balls.
LBC Rob question: do the rumors about the Acolyte scare you as much as they scare me? No, I don't care. I
don't
don't get into
really
that stuff.
care. And the rumors of it getting canceled. I mean, it's not getting canceled. They've
No.
finished production of it.
Yeah.
The only thing they would do is they would basically just pull a Witcher and fire the main actress, and then recast for season 2. Like that's all they're gonna do if they're gonna do anything different with if anything on the rumors is true with the Acolyte. Which I don't care because I haven't seen it yet, so I've got no way to care if I like the actress or not. It's
Or
like
the
the whole
series,
thing.
I don't.
Yeah. It's like the whole thing with Kenobi. Like I hate Reva as a character. I think she's just a shill and a shoe-in for plot points. But Moses Ingram did a great job.
Yeah.
So it's 100% depending on which way you look at it. So I'm not gonna fuss over anything I haven't ever seen. So I'm gonna let it slide.
Yeah, I don't get in. I mean, I don't care. And then I watch the series, and it's subjective, and we all have our opinions about it, and we like stuff more than maybe others, and vice versa. So I'm just. My thing is, as Star Wars fan, we get too fickle. We should be very happy because I've always talked about the dark times. You guys don't understand. We are blessed right now with Star Wars everything.
Content. Yeah.
We're blessed. From 83 to 91, there wasn't anything. And the only thing we got was when we got the Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn, which reintroduced us back into the world of Star Wars, which people gobbled up, and then Shadows of the Empire. We didn't have anything. We had a few games come out here and there on some of the earlier systems of games, but that was it. We didn't have comics until the late 90s, mid 90s, until Dark Horse started doing some stories. That's all we had. We didn't have any shows. We didn't have any movies. We didn't have any media until a few games, Shadow of the Empire, and then we got episode 1. And that was it. So for 16 years, the only thing we had was our imaginations, pretty much, and discussions on where we thought these characters would go and stuff. And we had more to talk about once Heir of the Empire and then continue the story of Star Wars through the books, but that was it. So, as long as it's a good show, as long as it's a good story, some are way better than others. Some are like,
Just give me good storytelling. Quit giving me cameos, crossovers, and marketing material. Like honestly, like I think that is like probably the biggest letdown of season 3 of Mandalorian is the shoehorning of Grogu back into the series. He was never designed to come back. They won't officially say that, but it's quite clear from the storytelling that he was not designed to come back.
No.
And that's unfortunate. Because I don't have anything wrong with the character, but you create a problem writing him back into the show now, because now you have to have episodes that explain why he's back. Right? Like it's a weird and that's why Boba Fett kind of fell flat, because Boba Fett had to spend those episodes explaining why he's back. Like it's a dumb thing to do. It's like I don't like it when you have somebody come in and ruin a story because they want a specific outcome. It's like I just would rather have good storytelling and something happen naturally, or at least with more development than just, hey, you've been here for a couple of days. Do you want a lightsaber or this Beskar chainmail, whichever you choose, you have to, that becomes your permanent life. It's just a high stakes decision, and it's just like, oh, I don't know, maybe you stick with the person who found me, raised me, saved me, and didn't
Like
let me die a few dozen times.
I still love in season 3 the fight with Mando and Grogu against the royal guard. That was so good, man. And then Grogu just giggling like Yoda, little laughter as he's hopping around. And then when those two fought together, I loved it so much, man. I was sitting there just laughing and enjoying that scene so much. So I'm glad that they're back together, but I'd like to see them progress the story. It's time to get Grogu into who Grogu is supposed to be. What else? Any three? Question: what's the likelihood of GLA being announced next week after the holiday? It's moderate to high.
It's moderate to high. Honestly, my guess is going to be that we'll get a State of the Galaxy the 12th or the 19th. That has been CG's mantra for the last 2 years, is that we get a Road to the Head State of the Galaxy somewhere mid-July that announces the next stint of things. My money would be is that they will probably do, whenever they do that, they'll do the kit reveal for Leviathan so they get as much hype in one post as possible. I don't see the Leviathan showing up next week. There's still a chance because we have to have another update next week. We'll only have the Galactic Challenges till Tuesday, so we have to have an update on the 5th to bring that in. But like I was pointing out yesterday on the SWGOH event server, every time a new capital ship comes, packs come with it that are specific to the characters and ships for it. So when you see those show up in the data mines, that'll tell you how far away it's going to be. But until we see them there's no way to know. So we could get an update next week and everything shows up and we get the Leviathan next weekend, or we get something on the 12th, which is when the data mines are that's as far as the packs are going out to now. And then that tells us some more, and the Leviathan comes on the 15th, and they're trying to keep it close to the chest. But we do know that next week is going to be the Conquest update. Yeah. We all have a sneaking suspicion on who the unit's going to be.
Well, at least our next question. And Calvin, I'm going to throw this one to you, buddy. Question: do you think Malicos will be the next Conquest reward?
I mean, maybe. It would be interesting because they could go one of two lifter routes with him. They could either really kind of tie him into like a Dathomirian thing with Maul, and maybe even, but maybe like Darth Maul, not like Mandalorian Maul. That's what the Mandalorians, but like Darth Maul and Savage, just because they're
Night Brother
both
Dathomirians or whatever. Do some Night Brother
yeah.
tags.
Ooh. Yeah, brilliant theory. They're going to do exactly what they did with Rex. So in 5v5, he's going to be built for just like your generic UFU team. So he'll go in a Seer team in 5v5, and then in 3v3, he'll be specialized to go with the Night Brothers. So Darth Maul and Savage. There you go. And sorry, go.
Oh, I was just going to say, which, by the way, that split Omicron, the best thing CG has ever done in this game mode.
Yes, like for Rex, yeah.
Well, that's how they should do it.
I know.
If you want to make a character that's going to function in multiple roles, do that. Do that where you get two options. Because you know how crappy it is for like Aphra and the droids to have Omicron specifics to like Aphra's Omicrons only work every other season, and the droids Omicrons will only work every other season. So it's so rough to see that. But did you have another point to bring up there, Cal?
No, yeah, that was pretty much it. Like I think it would be cool because that's them taking advantage of, or it really just kind of seems like that's what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to give you a way to use every single character in game, and I just think it was a really good idea because now Cody and Sarge are useful in 3v3, and Phoenix are useful in 5v5.
Dude, Phoenix are going to dominate in 5v5. Yes, I am so excited for that. But yeah, back to the engineer's question with Malicos. Everything that I have seen in SWGOH events from Barbarossa and Sig leads to incredibly high probability that Malicos is the next Conquest character. It's not a guarantee,
I really
but
thought it was going to be
it's.
Satil. I really did, because we
I
haven't
did
had a light.
too. I honestly did.
We haven't had a light side character in forever, and it's like, I'm like, it's due. It's not saying that she won't be the next light side conquest character, but it's like, man.
Well, I think they kind of want to give Cal a minute to figure his stuff out. I think that's
True.
why they're going to do something different. Because Cal's everyone's like, oh, we got so many dark side conquest characters. I'm like, yeah, but we just got a light side legendary. It's like, do you want a light side legendary and then a light side conquest unit in the same? Especially they're the same kind, right? If it's Satil and Cal, then it's like, okay, well, if you put Satil in and she's the new leader for OR, it just obliterated the team that Cal was supposed to go with, right? Which is kind of like the Jedi Knight Revan stuff, which she could still go under that. But if Satil would come in, I would think she would do what similar to what Darth Malgus did with stuck
in all the Jedi OR.
Like, I really,
yeah,
the OR tags. So from what I've seen from Barbarossa, they have ability icons that are data mined that are not used in the event for Cal. So that tells us there are abilities that don't show up in the event, which means that there is a different version lurking somewhere. The animations that they have for all of his abilities, which they only use one animation in the event, which is getting rocks thrown at you, and the basic, or not even the basic, it's literally just getting rocks thrown at you, I think, the entire event, are Malgus level polish. They are very well done, which is interesting for a PvE character. And then on top of all of that, it seems like there were data mines. There are different iterations of the same ability, which means that there are abilities that are meant for a PvE version and a PvP version. So my guess is that the artwork got tagged, the artwork got loaded into the assets, and then it got out before them.
Yeah.
Because the artwork that everyone was thinking was going to be a TB character, like we would unlock him with Cal and Zepho, and Sig put that to bed pretty quick, and so did Barbarossa, because there's no event image for it.
Yeah.
So there's no like journey guide event image for Malicos. So the gambling man says conquest unit. It's a possibility it could just be a marquee, but either way, the main image that was data mine is a pack image. That is a pack artwork image. So which every conquest character has had. So that's nothing crazy. I think they just accidentally shipped the assets out in that one, and that's where it is.
Helly says Ranger loves me. That's you probably just no. You can talk and do all your nonsense you want, Helly. But when you ask the question of he who shall not be named about his origin, then you get timed out. So just ignore that, then you'll be good. Then I don't have to Karth kicking the balls, So,
in fairness, I just decided to do it twice because Ranger said 10 minutes, and I can only do 5 at a time.
Yeah.
So, so I was like, there's your 10 minutes.
There you go. All right. LBC Raw question: has Old Man Rex Shine already gone with Cal now? No. They're different.
No,
they're two different characters.
It's just Rex
things.
is 5v5.
Yeah.
Like Rex is gonna blow things out of the water in 5v5, but you can't test that during a 3v3 GAC season, right? So it's like, and if you try to do the 3v3 team with Phoenix, it's still not nearly as powerful as anything else. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just not its time to do anything. Cal has so much more potential outside of GAC. So that's the issue. As Rex, I don't think really does. We could try to use him inside of TB, but I'm gonna pray that he hits shipments before 5v5 so that I can get him out of shipments and use him then. But I really don't want to marquee whale on him. So because it costs like an extra $100 at least. So pass.
Off on why does everybody hate Jar Jar Binks character in Star Wars Phantom Menace? I'm wondering because I find it funny good. Okay. So
I feel like that hate on Jar Jar has died down significantly.
Well, I mean, Ahmed Best. Ahmed Best did a phenomenal job with what he was asked to do, right?
Yeah.
So what he did in that, I thought was incredible, right? To create the first kind of really digital character and everything, but Jar Jar was there just to be jokey McJokey, and it drove me up the wall. Right? It just absolutely just did not work for me. I like a lot of the stuff, the other plots of Phantom Menace, but Jar Jar was just there to be yuck 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 yuck. You know, it just
He was comic relief slash the plot driver for some where it's just like we need a goof to cause a problem so that we can have some tense moments in a scene. So it's like he was always the one to cause a problem, which is like if you have a walking idiot who can't do anything besides cause problems, why would you not have just left him on Naboo?
right. So
Like it makes sense to keep him up through Tatooine
yeah,
because of how the events played out. But then everything else that he's a part of, it's like, why are you still here?
yeah. It's just one of those things. I mean, people were really down on his character, and it wasn't just him. Phantom Menace had a lot of people, you know, for me included. It's more of the some of the stuff that Jar Jar and then Anakin himself, the way they portrayed Anakin and Jar Jar, and just the way they handle the characters, just didn't work for me. Just not a favorite of mine. I'm not a big fan of the Ewoks either. You know, I get what they were going for with those characters and stuff, but it doesn't work for me. I'm not into the cutesy things. I'm more into, and don't get me wrong, I love funny moments in Star Wars. I quote them all the time. You know, I do Kenobi and stuff like that, but there's a certain type of, you know, time for it and a certain time that it's not needed, you know, and for me, just some of that stuff, it's like Return of the Jedi. For me, I think it's a phenomenal movie, but the Ewok stuff really turns me off. It really does. The
Well,
other
like the
stuff
one
is
where
fun.
Wicket tries to do the slingshot and he wraps himself in
Yeah,
the
I
face
know
with
it's
it.
stuff like
It's
that.
just a moment that's not needed.
No, I
And
mean,
they try to alleviate tragedy with comic relief.
I
It's
know
a
because
story.
yeah, it's in that same, and a couple instances later, you see the one where the Ewoks both get shot by the ATST, and the other one's like, you can hear him mourning his friend that just got killed, you know. So I was like,
Yeah.
that's good stuff, right? But yeah, it's just, well, why, it's just one of those things for adults that love Star Wars. Certain things. Now, if you're a kid, now listen, film's subjective. If you love Jar Jar, there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely, he's one of your favorite characters. I've always told people you love what you love, and it doesn't matter what other people think. So you keep on pushing
Yeah.
for Jar
It's
Jar.
it's just it just how much you get hung up on it. Because like that, I had an argument about a decade ago. And I'm like, if you, which is, it'd be just kind of, it was a good point to make at the time. If you look at episode 4 with the same critiques that we did episodes,
Oh my gosh.
no, and I'm not talking about like the story plot. I'm just talking about like how you're just supposed to take and accept stuff. There are a lot of things in the original trilogy that gets completely overlooked because
A free pass.
we have no context with the story.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of the original trilogy is that you're told a fairly generic story, especially in episode 4, but in a fantasy world. And but a lot of things just get a free pass because we have no context of the greater thing of the Empire. We have no context of the greater thing of Star Wars Galaxy. We have no context of any of that information. So when you get to the other episodes and you have this some sort of starting point of that information, you start critiquing it through those lenses. And that's the hardest part for a lot of fans to get past is by taking a story on its own merit and not judging it by the other context or the content around it, and that's a hard part to come around on a lot of it. But I mean, it's the biggest thing with a lot of the new Star Wars stuff is that they had like a lot of the new Star Wars stuff had moments that they just were so immersive breaking from the storytelling that it just took you out of the story.
Yeah,
I think and once you stop being on the edge of your seat watching the content, you really start to nitpick every little detail of like, well, that's stupid. Why is that way? Well, why does that look that way? You know, my always biggest thing is like when people sit there and nitpick the graphics of a show, and I'm like, okay, but I was so busy with the story, I didn't pay attention to that. But everyone has their thing that kicks them out, and that's why it's so hard to get there and get an actual critique of anything because if you love it, you love it. Like Calvin and I here, we like the original content quite a bit, the Clone Wars stuff and that kind of thing, and the Phantom Menace, those kind of things. But Ranger's a big fan of the original trilogy, and there's just parts of it that grab you as a person and then keeps your full attention on, and you can overlook the minor details that might upset you if it was presented somewhere else in a different story or whatever else. So
Yeah, it's just how it hits you. I mean, Star Wars original is okay for me. Empire Strikes Back is phenomenal, and I did like, and I love Return of the Jedi. Just the Ewoks took me out of. But Empire Strikes Back, I'll defend that movie. That movie is so bloody good, man. But I'm also fair. Like the sequels or the prequels, 1 and 2, outside Duel of the Fates, just hard for me to watch. But Episode 3, I adore Episode 3. I thought Episode 3 is phenomenal. I really love that movie. And that's why it's in my top 5 Star Wars.
yeah, which is interesting because I have a much lower opinion of Episode 3. Not
Yeah.
because I don't like it at all, but because for me, for a story with a guaranteed ending, I thought they did a very poor, and it's the pacing. I thought they did a very poor job pacing the transition. It feels a little janky in my opinion,
Yeah.
but that's what I like the context of the Clone Wars series, because you see Anakin's slow and inevitable transition away from trusting the Jedi, why he trusts Palpatine as much as he does, why he has issues with Padme. Like they dive into those things that help explain the character development, which I feel like in the movie, without the context, it makes like if you watch Revenge of the Sith after watching Clone Wars, they did such a great job tying in plot points and making things just hit harder, and
It's different.
yeah, it's much better. But if you go and watch 1, 2, and 3 with no Clone Wars, it just feels weird. You got this Anakin just kind of goes from, well, we're out here saving the Chancellor and we're having a great time and Obi-Wan's my best friend, to like, now I must kill everything and everyone because you guys didn't let me join the council.
And I gotta save Padme.
Well, I gotta save her and then kill her and then try to save her again and then break her heart and then it's
and they
all over
that build up. They did such a good job of that build up being natural throughout the Clone Wars. Like if you see Anakin at the very beginning, like season 1 or season 2, there's that fight. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Obi-Wan and Satine are there, and the guy's like, "I'm gonna blow up the building. What are you gonna do? Kill me? Like you're a Jedi. You don't kill people." And Anakin just kills him without thinking about it. And his response is a very casual, "What? He was gonna blow up the ship." So we start out with things like that, where it was a pretty obvious answer of him doing something that was, unethical according to the Jedi. And by the end of it, like we have progressions like that with other things. With like I think he has Newt Gunray that he like really rips into one time. But the end of it, he just gets the trench
in season 7. Oh my
god! By then, whatever he had was gone.
Yeah.
Like this just natural progression of these specific moments where we see how he deals with an enemy and what he's okay and what he's okay with doing, what he's not okay with doing. We can see the line shifting over those, I don't know, 3 years or whatever.
Yeah, you see the line shift from Anakin being and a lot of it comes from, you see Anakin's character develop more and more towards a dark side hue, I guess a better way of phrasing that, the more time he spends away from Kenobi. You kind of see that Kenobi's kind of his moral compass to a degree. And so
Anakin had his own moral compass because he was exceptionally loyal to the people around him.
Oh yeah, but that was the thing, his relationship with Kenobi drove his moral actions, and the more time he spends away from him, which happens multiple times. Anakin gets injured, he's out for months out of the war. He spends a lot of time with his Padawans, and there's a strong emotional bond there that kind of starts digging in at him a little bit more. But you see the progression of him kind of being like, all right, we shouldn't do bad things because we're good people, to by the end of the Clone Wars, it is a victory at all costs mentality. He does not care what the consequences are. But the thing is too, though, is that Filoni did a great job of also exposing Anakin to that stuff, because there is a moment with Cad Bane when they're trying to find where the holocron is, where all 3 of them mind trick him into, which might have melted his head. where it was a very dark side thing to do, but Mace was like, we can't not, right? And so you kind of see where he starts seeing the line getting blurred. What is the point of being morally good if you can't save the people around you? And you kind of see the progression of that whole thing. And that's what they do a really good job of. They do a really good job of, I don't remember the senator's name right now, but Padme had a past fling with a previous senator.
Clovis.
Yeah, Clovis. And watching Anakin have a really hard time watching Padme do her job. Like he had no problem risking his life every day of the week, but then watching Padme come through and do her job and figure out what was going on and doing her what she was asked of, all of a sudden, now he's got a problem with it. He's got trust issues. And so they do a really good job of building the character, and then it makes episode 3 feel way more impactful than we got.
Yeah, I didn't like she died of a broken heart too. That was kind of like, for reasons we can't explain, she's dying. Like, what?
Yeah.
Is there a moment like that in the original trilogy? Because the sequel, you
No.
obviously have the most notorious line ever of somehow Palpatine's returned. We can't explain it, but she's dying. There has to be something in the original trilogy where it's just like a total cop-out response.
There was not.
Oh,
Is it when like Leia knows out of nowhere that Luke's her brother or something like that? She's
Well,
like,
he
oh, I've
tells
always
her.
known, even though
She sensed it, but she didn't. I mean, she wasn't sure. And then Luke, on Endor, kind of lets her know, because he's going to go confront Vader. He doesn't know what's going to happen. She needs to know that if he can't do it, she's going to have to step up. So but it wasn't like that. Made it a little bit more sense than, for reasons we can't explain, she's dying. Like, what?
Well,
what do you
I
mean?
That has happened in the past, but like it's that does happen with older couples. One partner dies, and the other partner dies shortly thereafter. Things like that occur, but they kind of made it seem out of nowhere. And that's the thing I hate what Star Wars does so often, is they'll take a bad plot point and they'll write a book that gives it more credence. Like
done
Rey.
that
They did. They said at some point.
No, not
there's
for Padme, not for Rey. Rey, I know.
No, for Padme they did. They didn't they write a book here like the last year that explained oh my God, they go into the whole pregnancy and they try to explain. I want to say there was a book on that. Maybe it was just somebody trying to conceptualize why the whole
thing. There have been theories about it for like the last 15 years.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Like the prevailing theory for the longest time is that Palpatine killed her.
Which would make sense, but it hasn't been officially confirmed. So it's like I like the idea.
Not that I know of.
The only thing I don't like is when they go and make a book after the fact where they're like, "Oh, this explains how this happened." Like, we want to explain how powerful Rey is. All right, here's a book about how Force dyads work. Oh, and
That's great,
Rey and Kylo are Force dyads, so she just learns everything through magical that word's not coming out of my mouth.
Ben.
Her connection to Ben, and she just can take everything he knows and just immediately implement it. And I'm like, I
feel like it's a pretty big detail.
It's a huge
kind
detail.
Of important to know, yeah. Kind of.
But it's like you gave us a word with no context with it, and then we're like, it's the critical part of how she becomes so awesome. Like, okay, maybe we should have had a moment to explain this to anybody. Like a Snoke moment explaining it to Kylo, like he hey, I'm having concerns, we're having visions together, but they seem like it's happening in reality. I've noticed that she's interacting with things in my space, so it's weird, right? And he goes on this little tangent of what that could mean. Like, then you solve the whole problem with like 3 minutes of dialogue, and they're like, no, nobody needs to know about that until later. Like, oh my God.
So bad.
So bad.
And that's why, and we were talking about this, Rey is a good character, but the problem with Rey is she is definitely a Mary Sue. It's because we were comparing it to the Luke we got in the sequels to Luke in the Legends, and the journey that Luke goes on in the Legends books, and the trials and tribulations, the pain, the suffering, the loss that makes him the awesome person that he is as a Jedi, and just as a person, right? And why his feats matter so much, because they're earned. He earns everything that he does. You know, he just doesn't magically come up with something. He goes on great pilgrimage and great spiritual journeys to figure this shit out, and he loses shit along the way. People that he cares about, people that he loved, his wife, his nieces, you know, his friend Chewie. And he loses a lot of shit, and even Jedi that he cares about. Rey she just does it, and that's the one problem I have with Rey. We said so in the lore video. It's like she just does shit. I mean, you can be, as I say, you can be the best, you can have the most natural athletic ability in the world, but if you haven't trained on it, you know, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah,
Especially with,
raw talent only gets you so far.
you know, I mean, it's so frustrating. It really is. And that's why one of the reasons when they said there was a Rey movie, I'm like, okay, but what is it going to be? She's going to start the Jedi Order. Okay, how are you going to do that? And then we saw the first plot synopsis of it. I was like,
right?
no,
It
I'm
looks
not
so
interested. It's going to be the first
so
time
weird.
that I've ever not been interested in a Star Wars movie. Well, but Luke gets his ass kicked, Ronan Zai. I don't know how you call Luke and Mary Sue, because in Empire he gets absolutely obliterated and has to learn a hard lesson. Again, something they do consistently in the books. Goes off and train that the book they didn't cover Return of the Jedi, but time has passed. You know, time has passed, and Luke's gotten better, but he still has to go confront Vader and the Emperor, which he was. Luke didn't defeat the Emperor. Vader did. Vader saved his ass.
Well, and there's
I don't know how you call him. Mary
one of the
Sue.
issues with the Mary Sue thing about Rey is that she's good at everything and everybody likes her. Like she has, and this is why she was a very hard character to relate to because there's nothing wrong with her. Luke, while he did have a lot of natural ability, and like it's a good point saying, you know, how he got bodied by Vader in Episode 5 or whatever, who probably wasn't even trying that hard and mostly got it with the whole "I'm your father" thing.
Yeah.
But also, like when he meets Han and Chewie, they don't like him. Like Han kind of makes fun of his piloting abilities. Like you're gonna do that, so you have a different dynamic with Luke, and or even like in Episode 6. I mean, this is gonna get into kind of some SWGOH tag stuff, but like he picks a lane. In Episode 6, he's like, my identity is that I am a Jedi. I am going to do what I need to do, and he volunteers to go on the Rebelry. He's not a general. He's not the leader. He's not their best pilot, like Poe complains about Rey being in Episode 9. So there's, yeah, he is you know OP or whatever, but he has his flaws. He's not perfect. He's kind of whiny.
Yeah, in the beginning, but he grows. His character grows, you know, through battles and loss and trial and tribulation, and he earns everything. You know, he's strong enough to face Vader, but he's not strong enough to defeat Palpatine. I mean, that was made evident. You know.
And that's what I was saying earlier though. That's one of the things. If you compare the original trilogy to what we know now contextually, you can start to pick apart some of the storytelling mechanics that were present because of how things were presented to us at the time. But there was no other reason to think of it any other way. So it's so easy to sit here and go, oh well, yeah, that's because of XYZ, and you know, Luke's a Mary Sue because of XYZ. It's like, well, you might have a case in Episode 4 for Luke being a little bit of a Mary Sue, compared to whatever else he had going on, and I could entertain that to a degree because they don't do the world's greatest job explaining everything, which you know they didn't have to. There was no reason for it.
He is the main character. He's the main character though, so there's always going to be a little bit of that. Like you can even argue that with Anakin.
Well, yeah. The thing I love about Anakin, even though I don't like the sequels, I do love Episode 3. Anakin's journey is fascinating because he's the fallen hero story. Joseph Campbell's fallen hero, you know, the tragedy of the hero, right? That we've seen through all the psychological underpinnings of all of our mythos of stories, whether it's Greek tragedy or whatnot, right? And the overall story I loved. I didn't like the acting or some of the way they did it, but the overall story arc, it makes total sense, right? But Anakin goes through a lot too. You know, and it's different. Anakin and Luke go through a hell of a lot. Rey doesn't, and it just doesn't work for me. You know.
But every time, the thing is though, with Rey, it's like you look at the comparative differences. When in Episode 2, when Anakin finds out about his mom and his mom dies, and he gets there just in time to save her from not dying in Tusken captivity, right? That's his breaking point, and he slaughters an entire village. and then has a very I mean, they don't do a great job in the show of showing it, but through everything else we know, he has a very emotional, breakdown after that. His response to it is he feels conflicted about how he doesn't feel certain feelings, and they don't do the greatest job writing it, but it's still present, right?
Yes.
Where it's like Ray faces a problem, she gets the crap beat out of her, and out of just pure dumb luck, it turns around and she's victorious. It's like it's not a believable hero when they don't have a moment of them getting their ass kicked at least once. And Luke has that happen to him on screen during the Empire Strikes Back, which is a good moment. He thought he was more powerful. He told Yoda, "I don't need you. I've learned what I need to learn. I know how to swing this laser sword. I'm gonna go defeat one of the greatest, Sith Lords out there with no more help." And he gets his butt kicked the entire time. He barely stands a snowball's chance in hell, and it only ends because Vader doesn't just grab him while he's falling.
Yeah.
Like,
and he knows
that's it.
When you see him on the thing in Cloud City, when he's reaching out for Ben, he knows he fucked up, and you can see, how battered he is. He knew. He's like, damn, they were right. They were right.
They did a good job having the episode where we're introducing everybody. And yeah, Luke looks a little powerful, to having the episode of, okay, maybe he's not quite as awesome as we all thought he was. He's going to have a little bit of a rough patch. And, that's part of the reason why there was so much costume change between 5 and 6, because there was so much time difference between, and we don't get a good chance of knowing that because, between Boba or Mando season 2 and 3, there's a few years have gone by, but we kind of have to suss that out. We're not quite told that explicitly, and that's kind of the same thing that they did over on 5 and 6. So
yeah,
but I mean,
it just Rey as a character, I like her. I like her background. I think they had a missed opportunity where they made her a Palpatine. I think if she'd been a nobody, it would have sat with me more, because I think that's what makes the Star Wars universe and great characters just in general, the everyday person that this happens to, and how do they deal with it. And I think that would have been a way more fascinating journey for Rey. What if her parents were just a couple of drunks that just gave her away, not seeing any value in her, sold her to a bunch of slavers? I think that would have been a more dynamic story for her background, getting over that. Find out that her parents don't give a shit about her, they sold her off, and that kind of thing. And I think that would have fleshed out her character a lot more than saying, oh, by the way, this whole convoluted shit with Palpatine, and you're a Palpatine. It's like, what? Come on, man. You had me in episode 7 when you look at Rey and just how she is and her, what she's going through, and you feel for her. She's on Jakku and she's just surviving, and she's this ideologic kid, and she doesn't know anything, and she's had to live on her own and survive on her own. That's why I thought the stick fighting scene it made sense to me. I'm like, yeah, in that kind of world, you better be able to kick some ass, because it's a dog-eat-dog environment she's living in. That's really harsh, and and then they just went in a direction. I'm like, okay, it's hard. That's why the new Rey movie is not hidden for me. The only way I said this in the thing, if they did something like where Rey's trying to build up the Jedi Order and has started it, and then we have say, it doesn't happen there, but let's say the Vong come in, they introduce the Vong. How does Rey deal with that? I thought that might be interesting, but the way they are, that synopsis when it was read to me by Ram and we were on stream, I was like, what? Get the fuck out of here. And nobody's going to watch. They're immediately pick up on that.
I mean, they're going to be pissed when nobody cares about their new Rey movie, and then they're going to be like, oh, the Star Wars fans are just so toxic. And
no, they're not toxic. They can be. I mean, let's be honest. Star Wars fans can be toxic, but there are valid points in the criticisms of certain things, and the vast majority of Star Wars. And don't get me wrong, Rey's a great character, and I love that little girls and women can relate to her. That's great. It's like Ahsoka. I mean, I think when you watch Celebration and you see Ahsoka Day and you see all those women and young girls that look up to Ahsoka and are dressed up like her, I think that's fantastic. And I think Ahsoka's actually a way better character than Rey. You can fight.
Well, but the thing is too is that Ahsoka
I don't think I'll find much argument.
Was hated when she was first introduced. And it wasn't
now
until
now she's the most
the
beloved.
Clone Wars series where they actually did the same thing they did to Luke. They took 4 or 5 episodes of her just getting the piss kicked out of her.
Yeah.
You know, she got captured on Felucia. She was taken. She had to fight her way out. She was not just surviving. She had to rely on people. She experienced loss. You know, she had a lot of things crammed into like a month of being kidnapped. You know, and it was a
She,
very good storytelling that basically started showing her, you know, you're not good. You're it's your hubris. You're working with somebody who is far more talented than you, which is Anakin. But Anakin has way more experience to know when to do something different. You don't. And so they start showing that, you know, you need to just follow orders. You need to listen. When you don't listen, this is what happens. Like I think somebody did a breakdown of it. There are like 4 key episodes throughout the Clone Wars that kind of rework Ahsoka's character into a much more relatable and understanding character. And that was pivotal for them. But they never took that time with Rey, which is so frustrating because I think if they would have done that in episode 8 to take more time breaking down Rey's character and giving us more to work with, she would have gone over much better. But with what they gave us, it was not great.
Go ahead, Calvin. You were going to say something, or not?
I kind of forget now.
Okay.
Oh, no, I was going to, yeah. Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah, Ahsoka, I feel like, has one of the most complete arcs
Oh, so good.
in Star Wars that we've seen from the beginning of her story through the trials she's went through and the kind of the back and forth with it. Like, you know, Carter did a good job of explaining, like, her beginning stages, but even again in Rebels, of her getting to the other side. And all right, so she went through this period where she had to go through a bunch of hard stuff and had to lean on a bunch of people. And now she's going through a bunch of hard stuff and she has to be the person that people lean on. Like, she is, she's one of the big helpers. And then we get to see this whole new arc of her that's going to be ushered in with her own series where she's not just the person that people are leaning on, but she's like this mystic force out there, almost kind of how Luke was at episode 6, where she's become a legend.
And it's earned. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's earned. And she's had her ups and downs. I mean, her confrontation with Maul, when he asked her will you join her? She's like, yeah, I will. Just what do you want with Anakin? And that's when flipped her back. But she was going to help Maul. It's like, yeah, I will help you. Fuck the Jedi. Let's go kill this Sith Lord. You know, it's not when, you know, her connection to Anakin. He's like, all right, you had me till you said that shit. Now we're going to fight. And I think one of the greatest lightsaber fights I've ever seen is Ahsoka versus Vader in Rebels. That shit was unbelievable. When he says her name Ahsoka and she turns around and says, you know, and then she says, I'm not going to leave you. Not this time. You know, and if you get the reference of her walking away from him in the Jedi temple when she leaves the Jedi Order, it's powerful, man. And you see the ups and downs of her character. And I think Ahsoka is what I wish they would do with Rey. You know, that kind of journey, that character development. You know, because when Ahsoka does stuff, I'm like, I got you, girl. I get it. I know why you're doing what you're doing because she's so well developed, and I can see why she's the most beloved female character in Star Wars. It's earned. She's fantastic. They've done a brilliant job with her character, with the writing and everything else. I can't. She's one of my favorite characters. We did a lore video on her, and I couldn't stop saying enough great things about her story arc and stuff. And I'm excited for the new series. We'll see what happens with it, but with everything that's happening, I'm like, and I love in was Book of Boba Fett when we had that scene with Ahsoka and Jedi and Luke. I thought that was such a great moment. It's so good because now she's, like you said, Calvin, she's the one, or Karthik. He's leaning on her, asking her questions like, "What do I do here?" You know, and she's got to be the one that teaches. I just love it. You know, so yeah. What, the toxic fandom stuff? There are toxic fans in any, and then let's just be real, there are toxic fans out there.
Oh yeah, and any fandom, like Doctor Who, Harry Potter, Star Trek, Lord of the Rings, take your pick. Like, it's not
you
hard.
always know when a fan has like actual constructive criticism versus just
being an asshole.
Being an asshole is who they're attacking.
Yeah.
Because if you are attacking an actor or an actress because of their beliefs outside of their role, you're not doing the right thing. I don't care who you are outside of a show. I want to know how well you did inside the show. That's what I care about. So if you're going to tear down an actress or an actor because of something they said on Twitter or an interview or whatever else, who gives a shit? I think that's a very poor criticism to make on anything regarding to a show or anything of that nature. Now, if you want to actually criticize facts about the show, the storytelling was underdeveloped, the scenery was really lacking, the
Yeah,
things that are
all
actual
fair.
constructive criticisms, that's fine to make, but you can't sit there and just attack an actor or an actress or a company because you're unhappy with the messaging of what's going on there. If you're attacking that part of it, I don't
Well, like
think you're
Kelly
a good
Tran,
fan.
I mean, she's a prime example. She did what she was supposed to do. Kelly
Yeah,
Tran
that
was
was
fine. It's not her fault. And people
yeah,
went after her, man.
yeah.
Horrible things they said to her.
I
I
mean,
mean, oh my God.
I question your intelligence if you go after an actor for a writer's fault. Like
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah.
that's not hard to figure out.
Yeah, it's just like you can always have criticism, but it needs to be constructive. You need to be talking about specific things. You need to be talking about specific things that you can tangibly criticize, like the writing or dialogue that should have been included, or things of that nature. Things that are objectively bad, but not going after things because you don't like somebody personally. Like that's a different can of worms. Like I said earlier with Moses Ingram, is like, I don't like Reva as a character. I just, everything that she was there for, I don't agree with. But Moses Ingram did a good job playing her. So I'm not gonna fuss with, I'm not gonna go and complain about Moses Ingram being Reva. I'm gonna complain about Reva having some super thick plot armor.
Yeah, and the difference between someone being toxic and someone that's not. Toxic people have an opinion, and if you don't like it, they go after you. They don't want to listen to the other side. But you hear us all the time here, and one of the things is with our constructive criticism, right? Or the dialogue we have, we'll say what we don't like, but we'll offer alternatives of what we would like to see or what could have been improved. But we're not going after anybody. You know what I'm saying? That's just critical thinking. So yeah, and as fans, we need to be accepted. If you don't like something, that's cool. You have every right to not like something, right? You think it's trash, you think it's trash, but offer up solutions. But you don't go after people because if they disagree with you, then you think they're a dumbass and you start calling them names and stuff. And that happens a lot in fandoms, and
Yeah.
that's when we're talking about toxic fandoms, it's like,
Yeah, anytime you can't separate the fact that the writer went somewhere else with the character than you wanted them to go. If the leap makes sense, get over it. If the leap is illogical, then fight it. But it's
yeah,
like, if you can't, if you're the only one in the room shouting that you don't like how something transpired, maybe your opinion is not facts. Like that's the part that I just never understand. You get so many people that are just so vehemently attack something, and they're like, well, because one other person on the internet agree with me, now we're correct. This is the only way you can view this exact thing, and that's it. And I'm like, well, kick rocks.
all right. I don't see any other questions. Give me a second. I have to get my deployments in for TB. And then we'll see if we have any final questions. And we're going to get out of here. And then I'll see you guys on Monday. Then after that, Viva Las Vegas. And if you guys didn't watch it, go back and watch the stream last night. Me and Ram did the hot chip challenge. I took it like a boss. Ram
Ram had big boy problems.
he did. I give him credit though. He did do it. And that's saying a lot more than most people because he did. He's not only done it once, he's done it twice, and I give him props for that. It is pain though. It is absolute pain. There's no other way to put it. If you're not done that, I don't recommend it. But if you haven't done it, then for those that have, man, big props. LBC Rob. Okay, yeah, okay. So the final thing I'm going to say here is I don't see any other questions. All right, I'm going to create a Discord channel here right after we get done for anybody that's coming to Vegas. If you are a skewer and you want to get my contact information so we can all meet up and hang out and stuff, you're going to have to hit me and up in the Discord. You're going to have to message me because there's no way. I won't know. I'm not the best with names. There's going to be a lot going on. Oh, Daisy says all the clips are out there. Fantastic. Oh, so good. I'm gonna go watch that real quick after we get done here. I'm gonna go to Rampage channel and watch that shit. But message me now if you're listening to this now. I'll do another PSA on Monday because I'm not streaming until Monday. Message me in the Discord. I'm going to start right now with I think me and Dez, and I'll throw contingent in there. So if you're a skewer and you want to hang out and just know where we're at and everything that's going on, I'm going to create a separate thing right now for us so we can, you know, be able to be congruent with everything. So I'm going to do that right after this is done. So yes. Yeah, LBC Rob, I'll create the Discord group. Just message me in Discord just so I can add you to the group. As I said, anybody that's in here, you want to be tagged so you can come hang out with us and we'll keep our group together. I'm going to create the group after this and then I'll have my information in there. We can all share our information. I don't want to do any outside of that just for reasons. So there you go. Anything else? All right, let's let Calvin pimp his stuff. Calvin, where can folks check out your amazing content?
Yeah, so the primary place you're going to find me is on YouTube. We have a lot of content going out there. I think we posted 5 videos this week. A lot of stuff about how to build your roster up right. That's probably the predominating thing right now. I think the last video I posted was about like the 5 biggest farmer mistakes that people make and how to avoid them. Yep. You can also, what's that?
No, I was great. I loved it.
Oh, thank you.
I watch your stuff, Calvin. Damn it, I'm subscribed.
I know, Ranger. I know you're a supporter. You can see me on Twitch as well every Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for GACs. And I don't know if I'll probably do Sunday. And we also have the Mad Awesome Show on Spotify and iTunes. And we actually did do a video this week, so that'll be out there.
There you go. All right, so with that, we're going to call this one done. Everyone, check out Calvin's stuff. Do me a favor. He comes on here every Saturday and all the other content creators. So please do me a favor. The easiest way you can show your support for them taking time out of their busy schedule to be here on a Saturday morning and answering your questions and talking to you guys is go follow their stuff. Just watch their stuff. It's the easiest thing you can do. You want to donate money and support them financially? Great. But just watching their stuff is thanks enough. So please do that for me today. Again, after this, you guys can check out, we have the lore video out on Luke. Please, I encourage you to go check that out. You've got it on YouTube and Podbeam and Amazon right now, so you can download it as a podcast. We got that out. And then, yeah, and anything else? No, I think we're good. We'll do GSA on Monday, and then Viva Las Vegas. So everyone have a great rest of your day. Love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Don't forget, we will see you on Monday. Peace out.